Thank you all for having me and having the opportunity to give you a little bit of an idea about strategy. Our business, Catalyst SF, is based on doing strategy and doing marketing strategy in the digital space for brands and startup companies as well. And I'm a New York media guy at heart, so 7 minutes is a whole lot of time for me, so this is easy. So the objective we're going to talk about very quickly and briefly is that you wanted to raise awareness, specifically Paul, with consumers about GE's innovative, more eco-friendly approach to appliances and using social media as a platform. What we really think that means is that we're trying to change perception of GE in the social media space, because if we really think about it, GE is associated with longevity and quality, and it has been for many, many years. The target audience we're talking to, we really saw there's two. There's women 35 plus who are the head of the household. They're the ones that typically make that purchase decision of the appliances in the home. There's also the slightly younger audience, 25 to 35-year-olds, who are the first-time home buyers. You mentioned them a few minutes ago. All of these folks understand that GE is associated with longevity and quality. But what is also increasingly interesting for these audiences is their interest in innovation and eco-friendliness, right? The 25 to 35-year-olds, this is part and parcel to what they do every single day. The 35 plus, this is becoming more ingrained in what they do. So we want to take that angle. We also want to look at what they're saying, and we use Twitterator once in a while as a really great example of a snapshot of the buzz that's happening online. So you can see that energy efficiency appliances have no negative tweets associated with that for the period of time that's checked. That's unique. Almost always when you go and search, there's a lot of discussion, positive and negative. If we look at general appliances, there's a lot of conversation. About 700 tweets are showing up in that metric. GE shows up with about 42. And then Kenmore, which is one of your competitors, is showing up slightly higher. So there is activity around brands associated with appliances, which is interesting. Also want to look at appliances being green, and then GE and its association with green and innovation, and then appliances in general and their association with innovation. So what we saw here is that green appliances themselves are indeed a hot topic of interest. So there's a lot of things going on there. We also see there's not a lot of association between GE and green or GE and innovation. Not a surprise, you guys understand this is why you're here today. What we think is interesting, because appliances really aren't associated with innovation, so there's a big opportunity there, is that we want to change perception. And the way that you do that, using social media specifically, is by changing the momentum of conversation, because momentum of conversation will bring you in a specific direction. Specifically, we're going to interrupt that momentum, redirect that conversation, and the way you do that is through positive, relevant association with the topics you're trying to get towards. And then we build upon the buzz that's being developed to transform the perception of your brand. And the way you do that is through ongoing positive association with the new topics we're trying to push. The reason to do that is that you have a brand that's built perception over many, many years. You have to divert that brand momentum because you've built years of momentum going this route of longevity and quality. What we want to do is interrupt that conversation, and social media is a great platform for doing this in a way that's relevant to the audience you're talking to, but it has to be unexpected and rewarding. Social media at its best is media, and creative messaging is what actually provides the reward. So we're going to use social media as a platform to deliver a message that's appropriate to the audience. So the way we're going to do that here is through looking at 3 different ways of interrupting the media discussion. The first one is tier 1 of appliances and innovation and environment. So we're going to interrupt the conversation and find bloggers and conversations related to appliances, energy efficiency, and GE. And we're going to try to talk to the folks in the women 35 plus, as well as the first-time home buyers, who are engaged in that exact conversation at that moment. The second thing we're going to do is broaden it out a little bit. Try to go towards a mid-reach environment that's really focused about environmental and innovation concepts. And there we're going to try and find social activities related to those 2 things and interrupt the conversation and insert you into it in some way. And then the broader one, tier 3, is to broaden it out even farther to a higher reach audience, because think about it, just about everybody in this room has an appliance. So it's not just that target audience we talked about, it's grander than that. With those folks, we're going to find entertainment and social activity that speaks to them and see if there's a way to insert into that conversation, interrupt that conversation in a way that's relevant. So you go from interruption to that redirection idea. The way they're going to redirect is, first of all, that tier 1 is do a blogger outreach with people like Federated Media, where we can actually develop targeted outreach and speak to these people in the conversation and give them new information or targeted content that's related to innovation and eco-friendliness. The second thing that we want to do is try and develop a socially syndicated speaker series and use this as content to pair 2 seemingly unrelated people and get them to talk about innovation and the environment and bring that to the people based on GE. And the way we do that is by working with applications and widgets and people like AppSavvy to distribute that, because we also do believe that a distributed model is really where the future has to be, and that's how you take advantage of social. And then the third thing is to use the GE Greenovation Concert Series. This is the broader entertainment idea, where we actually pull together artists and have them rework classic songs in a more innovative fashion, brought to you by GE, and distribute that once again through social media, through widgets, applications, through all the platforms where this audience is. And once again, AppSavvy, Buddy Media, and some of the other partners that you're going to hear from here, and some of the people in this audience, we're going to talk to. Those are really factors of content. We take those content components and then we can drive them out into the web or into assets that you have some sort of control over. So if it's widgets, you can distribute the content through that. Think about partnering Bill Clinton with Chuck D and having him talk about the environment, right? Have Robin Williams talk with Eric Clapton. Have bands, if you know me, you'll understand why there's Pearl Jam on the page. Pearl Jam, Bruce Springsteen, or the Arcade Fire. Have them reimagine classic albums and classic songs brought to you in an innovative fashion by GE. The way you promote all of this is we start with the WTF, which is not what you think it is. It's website, Twitter, and Facebook. That's your core presence. That's where you own the content, okay? You take that content and then you have that housed there, and you can also have a social media application, which I'll tell you about in about 10 seconds. Then there's earned outreach. We do blog seeding. We do blogger outreach. You do PR, and you take that content and you promote it out onto the web, and you have people virally pick it up and take it and run with it. And then you do paid outreach. You go to the social graph and use those targeting components. Use Facebook ads to drive back into that WTF, because if you have them in the WTF, you can do the brought to you messaging by GE. You can actually own a little bit more of the conversation and insert the appliances and all those things. The technology buzz, the last part, is that once you've brought them to your website, create a platform that allows them to aggregate together all their social applications, email communications, their Twitter feed, their MySpace feed, their Facebook feed, in a place where they can check in and manage all those assets in one location. Because now you're innovating in the environment where these users are spending their time. How are you going to measure it? Because everybody always asks, how do you measure this stuff? You increase the discussion, you reach tone and sentiment. You talk about the fans, followships, and the CRM registrations you get. You look at association and perception through brand studies, and fundamentally, inquiries and sales, because it's all about driving business. That's it. So I was right on the dot.
Good job.
You lose your New York cred. You were 6 seconds over.
I try. I'm out of practice.
Now, Cory, a lot of very complete presentation, first of all.
Thanks.
I always take notes because typically in any meeting like this, there's so many ideas that come out, you really want to be able to refer to what you see and heard. But obviously starting with the strategy, who we want to reach, critical for us. The idea of changing perceptions with women 35 over, 25 to 35-year-old first-time home buyers, absolutely the person we want to reach. The fact that you had a very data-based initial assessment in terms of what you want to reach, that's critical for us, very important. The ability to change perception, that's obviously the challenge we put on the table, from a traditional to an innovative company. The idea about balancing the appliances message, the innovation message, the environmental message was a really good foundation. Then jumping to the tactics of things we would do. The blogger outreach, that's obviously a basic thing that we are doing and will continue to do. I found the speaker series and the concert series intriguing. Then I saw the people you put up on there, and then I wrote a little $sign on my page there.
But I have an answer for that. Ask me the question.
And so how do we afford that?
When you talk to these people, because these people are always looking for avenues to promote themselves. If you're using social media and you're gaining a lot of earned media and a lot of outreach efforts, they're going to actually see you as an avenue for them to promote themselves, so you can negotiate those for very, very discounted, if not free, opportunities.
Okay, well, that's an intriguing opportunity. We always look at how do we generate tune-in for the networks. Unfortunately, that's not the greatest. They like cash as well as tune-ins, but
they have record labels who are really in bad shape.
Yeah, no, so depending on who you get, and finding the right communicators for the target audience will potentially represent a huge win and may not have to be the most popular, but the most interesting. And then hitting the buzz and the measurements, really a complete presentation. I would love to hear more about it later.